Awesome. All right. Yay. Okay, we're live.
We're live.
So thank you, Myah, so much for coming on my channel. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you for having me, Leigh. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So Myah and I met through a mastermind program, actually. And it recently ended. It was a 9-month mastermind embody and leadership program. And it was an incredible experience. So that's how we met. So for the last 9 months, we've been seeing each other on a pretty regular basis. Yeah, so I think the best part for me about the program was probably the connections that I made with the other women. That was my favorite part.
Me too.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So how is life going, Myah? How is everything?
Well, awesome. And a little full. It's quite full right now. I'm doing actually this weekend, I'm coming into my second weekend of my second year in my shamanic program that I'm doing. So awakening the inner shaman with the Institute of Shamanic Medicine. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've been working a lot with my animals and the elements, and that's been really cool. And then I'm also just finishing up a 10-week deep dive. Well, I'm in week 9 of a 10-week program on emotions and yoga, which is the first segment of a long journey I'm doing for my 300-hour Kundalini Yoga instructor training. So then I'll be a 500-hour, yoga instructor, probably in
Wow.
about 2 years or so, but I'm loving it. I love my teachers. I'm having a great time. And then just trying to balance that with like being a mom and my job and my clients around that for like personal training and like life coaching. And this morning I just did like a whole food prep session with somebody for the past,
Ooh, that's
wow, almost 2 hours.
nice. Yeah, sounds like you got a lot going on. So, I mean, since you're a woman of many hats, so for people that are watching, tell everybody what you do.
Well, I do wear a lot of hats. So my job, which I love, I am a coach at Orange Theory Fitness, and then I go in and I teach. I've been a fitness instructor in general for the past 10 years. In tandem, just after I became a fitness instructor, I became a personal trainer. I have a background, my bachelor's is in psychology, so there's always a keen interest in nerding out in the realm of positive psychology primarily. And I love human like development. And in the past few years, I've been going deep down in the woo. So I met Himalaya, the facilitator of our program, shortly after my son was born, and it was just in a one-off sort of workshop, and it like blew my self open, like was like, anyway, it was quite profound. And since then I started chasing that of like, oh my god, I need more of this. What is this? So I found like bioenergetics and tantra, and then later on Kundalini Yoga. So I am a Kundalini Yoga instructor. I also hatha yoga instructor. Pretty much taught any modality you can think of under the fitness realm hat, because I'm just like, oh, there's a training, I'll go do it. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do this. So I love learning. It'll never stop. A lifelong student over here. So yeah. And I'm also a
Yeah.
certified life coach. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. One more time.
Oh, I'm also a certified life coach. So I do that too.
All
Neurolinguistic
right.
programming.
All right. So yeah, you guys, and you're in British Columbia, correct?
Yes. Beautiful
Okay.
BC on Vancouver Island.
And you work with people primarily in person, or you also do remote work?
I'm mostly in person, but some online since, the thing.
The
I've had
thing
to
that shall not
kind of
be
adapt
named.
a little bit more. That shall be not be named. Yeah, right. So I had to do more online. So my preference is in person. I love that one-on-one connection, but I am also like speaking with you right now. I feel like we're in the same room, so that's nice too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you guys are in BC, if you're in British Columbia, you know, and you need somebody that does yoga and fitness and life coaching and food prep and all that stuff, then yeah, Maya's your person.
I
Maya's your
also do Zoom calls, but the just the drawback is I can't go with people in the grocery store. Well, I haven't done that yet with a Zoom call, but I'm sure I figure it out.
that would be so interesting.
Yeah, shopping actually, it's one of my favorite things to do because you get to go with the person and kind of like, just one of my clients described it as like grocery store therapy. We are talking about like inner child work in the middle of the chip aisle. We're talking about the inner toddler and the inner tantrum and how to like meet the need and not the desire. Like it was great. But anyway, it's good.
Oh yeah, I bet that especially comes up in the chip aisle and the cookie aisle and like all that bad stuff, right?
And that's the thing, right? It's not bad. We don't moralize it. It's just there's the food that's going to nourish you and make you feel good, and then there's the food that maybe it is that treat that you need to feel in flow and whatever. But yeah, it's really getting to the core of what's the need behind this. I want the cookie, but what do I need behind it? Like what
Yes.
what need am I trying to satisfy here?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I know, I guess why I call it bad for myself is I know like it tastes so good when I'm eating it, and then afterwards I feel like crap. So
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily make you feel nice. But the other part too, and this is what I find, is that so the inflammation response in the body is worse if we shame ourselves about it. So if we're like in a state of like guilt or shame or shouldn't have, or our body actually reacts worse to it rather than just, oh, this is things that I'm digesting. It actually goes, oh, I'm supposed to feel bad. And then so there's more swelling that happens. There's more adverse reaction. So it's
yes.
like letting, okay, I had this. Okay, and now what's the next best thing I can do for my beautiful body as it processes this? So yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I heard a story from somebody recently where they were saying that I mean they were essentially like homeless for a period of time. And so they didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have a as far as getting their food, they didn't have a lot of options. So sometimes, they had to eat like McDonald's or those unhealthy foods. And, they each time they would go through like this optimization process mentally and like energetically, like with the food. It's just so interesting, right? Because like I feel like before I was woke, before, before I was a more conscious person, I had no idea about any of that, you know so it's just so fascinating to me, like the thoughts that you can put and the intentions that you can put into your food and your water and your tea and everything. And yeah, that's why I love so much during the retreat that we had, Himalaya, before we ate anything, she said a blessing over the food, and that reminded me to get back to doing that more.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I saw that you posted something that was really beautiful today. I don't know
Oh,
if you would like to share it with us.
sure. So it's actually like the picture's a really old picture. Well, it's not that old, but it's a couple years old. And I'm just like so in it, like so determined. I was like, oh, this picture, like this encapsulates this. Cause there's that, that drive to just like manifest and like do the, be that. And like it's exhausting. It really is. And it's so backward because we're constant, or I was chasing this abundance. I was chasing this thing, like this purpose, and oh, this is the thing now, and oh, now I'm going to devote my time and energy to this because this is my purpose. And then I'd lose interest, and then no, now this thing. and constantly sort of like, and it kind of goes with capitalism too. It's just like, oh, okay, well, I just need these lashes and this hair and this style to like, there's always like something to get something, right? And so I've been doing this emotions work, this emotions in yoga, and this whole idea of needs and desires, because like any emotion you feel is absolutely like data point. Feel like there's no reason to feel like that anger is wrong or anything like that. It's anger is. And so it's getting to, okay, well, what's behind this feeling? What is this feeling trying to get my attention? Because these feelings don't feel nice to get your attention. And then so it's sitting with that emotion going there. So I had this sort of like awareness of these wants and needs come up as we were exploring desire. So these past 10 weeks, we've been going through fear, desire, and anger. Just those three. We do in the spring, we're going to do a 5-week deep dive in shame. So I'm looking forward to that.
I bet.
Yeah. So this whole idea of need and want, and we were doing this crazy kriya that was like 31 minutes of before like a bunch of other things, and like so much came up in that, like it was quite profound. But anyway, so that's where this originally came from, and then it cycled back as we were doing a kriya where we were holding our arms in the air for 11 minutes a day for 7 days. That was good stuff too. A lot of stuff you can learn from Kundalini Yoga. But anyway, it got to the nugget of it, of these wants and these needs. My son, I'm going everywhere with this, but I'll come back to the point. My son had a book that said that it was called Wants and Needs, and he read it to me. He's in grade 1, and it was like, she wants a glass of lemonade, she needs a glass of water, and it just did that throughout the whole book. She wants a fancy red coat, she needs a warm coat, like, wants and needs, desires. And so it was like unlocked all of these things of like, I want this, actually what the root is here. So what I want is clarity. So that was a big one for me, like wanting clarity. I just want clarity. And what I need is patience. When you wait, the answer arrives. And what I want is abundance. This is the big one. This is what I kind of ripped apart in that post. What I want is abundance. What I need is presence. Because abundance is now. And if we're constantly chasing abundance, we'll never receive abundance. It's like a dog chasing its tail. Like I said, it's like it will never come. Just abundance is. You just need to recognize it in the presence. So what I want is abundance. What I need is presence. And then the last one was, what I want is for it to all make sense. And what I need is to trust. So I put it all in past tense because that was like, okay, that was a couple weeks ago, but it's still very much like just that constant reminder of like wants and needs. If I want this, what do I truly need? Like, how do I actually meet the need where I'm at? It's like, okay, trust. And there's a bit of a surrender in that, to just, coming back to that self-trust of, okay, I got this. We're flowing. So
I
that was a
love
big ramble. I hope it made sense. Did it make sense to you?
it. Did. Absolutely. Yeah. I love that so much because I've been focusing a lot on my own, like my wants and my needs, and what are those? Because for me personally, I felt like growing up, I wasn't really allowed to have those for myself. Like I wasn't allowed to like decide what they are for myself. I was like told what they are. So as I came more into myself and coming home to myself, then ask myself all the time, what do I want, what do I need, because I'm not used to doing that. And that's so interesting how you connect the two together, because of course, like we know, like we have basic survival needs, right? It's like, yeah, we need water and food and clothing and shelter, right? I think once you have those four things, it's like, okay, what else do you need? But yeah, then we get into like more of the nitty gritty stuff. So something that's been coming up a lot for me lately is I want it to be easy, because
Mm.
I feel like so much of my life has been such a struggle and everything's been so effing hard. And I remember growing up that I was told life is hard all the time. And so I want things to be easy. So then what do I really need? And I'm just now like, I'm thinking about this right now.
I don't know if this resonates, but that was one of the things that came up, and like I had a whole ramble of things, and what I wanted was ease, what I needed was flow. And the flow is more because it's not just, but I mean, there might be more behind that. There might be more like, you could always go deeper. What I want is flow. What I need is consistency. I don't know. But like, you could play that with yourself and your own consciousness of, yeah, so you want ease, right? Because it never was easy. And you were told this narrative that it has to be hard. And you're trying to rewrite that narrative. But at the same time, like and maybe I'm just not there yet, but people talk about the vortex and they talk about, just believe it's easy and then it will be easy. Um sometimes, yeah, sometimes. But I also, it feels like a bypass. And I feel like it's almost like a privileged bypass of like, okay, but here's the reality of being a single mom and needing to provide for my family. And the more we kind of, and so this is what I was getting to in terms of this, I'm not going to lie, there's been some resentments where I've paid into programs and I've spent like a lot, and I'm like, it was supposed to bring me more than this, but I learned a lot. I did learn a lot. I learned a lot. And part of it is that letting go of the grasping, and also simultaneously stop chasing the ease, because the more you chase the ease, it's harder, right? Because we want it to be this thing and we want it to be that thing. And then so we're constantly looking for the ease, but actually making it harder in the process because we're attaching and projecting all of our wants, needs, and desires onto a specific situation or a specific circumstance or a specific container, specific person. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's what was coming up for me. It was like, I just want it to be easy. So this person's going to make it easy. This program is going to make it easy, right? Because it's so right. And I'm like, oh, I'm manifesting. I'm like in the flow. But meanwhile, I'm projecting the fuck out of my own inner wants and needs and desires onto external things. And ease is a state of inner flow, inner love and being. And when those difficult emotions come up, if we're always wanting ease, we can't necessarily deal with them, because we're going to probably go for something that makes it feel a little easier, which is taking the edge off, not feeling those uncomfortable feelings,
Right.
because part of the process is
Right, I
feeling
know.
uncomfortable.
Sometimes I'm like, I just want a break. I just want a break. Okay. Like, could I just take a year off? It's like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Well, but there is something to be said about taking some time and integrating,
Oh,
and
for sure.
truly, like, you
For sure.
know, nature is pretty easeful if you go
Yes.
out and be in it. But when it's not in ease, right? Because it's trying to get your attention, send you messages and say, I'm out of balance, and burn down a forest or cause a flood that like everybody, like that, right? That's nature out of balance saying, I'm finding my balance again. So as soon as we come into that state of like, it might not feel like ease in that moment.
Yeah. Well, what was coming up for me initially with like when I really started to think about, okay, well, if what I want is ease, what do I actually need? And yeah, the flow really makes sense. For me, it was surrender. Like just stop resisting. Like stop, like the resistance is what makes everything so difficult. Just like stop resisting to everything. Like, just see things for what they are, accept things for what they are. And, then if something is happening in your life, and of course, this is different for everybody. If you're in an environment maybe that you don't like, and then maybe you can change that, right? Like, tuning in more with, okay, like this feels good and this doesn't, and like, can I do more of what feels good? And yeah, just that's what came up for me is the resistance and surrendering. And I've basically, like, I'm at a point now where I just think I want to like just like live out in the country somewhere and just like eat fruits and vegetables and just make art and I don't know what else. But just like live a really simple life. That sounds great.
That sounds so abundant. Absolutely. Like it's just like you're in flow with the natural cycles of nature. You're eating the fruit that's available to you. You're enjoying the luscious land that you're on and you're fully in it. You're present. I mean, that is abundance.
I would
Yeah.
love that so much. It sounds like heaven to me. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I also haven't done it yet. So like we have to, I mean, I'm finding with me is like my higher self will call me to do something, whatever it is. And then
Yeah.
I listen. I'm like, okay, let's do this thing. And then I do it. And then it's a learning process. It's like, okay, what do I like about this? And what do I not like about this? And just learning like more about yourself and who you are and what those wants actually are and the needs too.
Yes. Um, in Kundalini Yoga, we talk about the Kriya triangle, which is like Svadhyaya, which is self-study, um, Ishvari Pranidhana, which is the surrender, and Tapas, which is the work. So it's like those, just what you described there. It's that surrender, that desire to just flow and be in ease, and that's truly the ultimate, right? And in order to be able to do that, there's a bit of a commitment and a work that is required for that to be possible, but it's not to get lost in the work, because then you're constantly chasing. So that's the importance of self-study, is like, you're changing the things that you have control over, and then like surrendering to the things that you don't, right? It's just like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
totally.
there's a
Yeah.
lot right now that we don't have any control over. A
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. And then so it's, how do we show up in that? Because we always have control over that. It's like, how do we show up? How do we show up for a daily practice? And what role do we play? Because yeah, I mean, there is that beautiful piece to be like, there's that, go up to the caves and into the ashram and just devote yourself that way. But then like, I don't know, I also want to live in this world. So it's finding that balance of like, how do you really integrate and be with other humans in a soul connecting space that's in ease and possibly helpful.
Right. And how can you just, emit your light frequencies to other people around you that might need it? Maybe
Yeah.
you can plant a little seed somewhere or just through like acts of kindness or acts of service. I mean, there's so many ways that we make a footprint that we don't think about. And that's kind of that's always in the back of my mind because I feel like it can be a bit challenging for me at times to interact with, well, the world and those who are not more I'm not going to say more, it's not more or less or anything, it's just different, those that aren't really like on my frequency, that like don't speak my language, and they're different, there's nothing like wrong, nothing bad about that, but I find it difficult to relate and to be in relationship with these people. And so that's kind of something that I've been working on a lot, is just coming back to the compassion and the non-judgment. When I find myself doing it, I'm like, wait, stop that.
Yeah, totally. One thing that the one of the sutras, the sutras for the Aquarian age is the other person is you.
Yep.
So anytime that something's come up, I'm like, okay, that's mine. What is it? And like, right. So I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say it because, yeah, there was a time I remember you put your video out in our group and I was like, oh, I don't like this, but why don't I like this? It's so good, but it's so like scripted and it feels really false and it feels really put on. Like, okay, how am I putting myself on? How am I scripted? Like, how am I showing up in a way that I'm acting and that I'm just, right? And it's interesting to me that when I put my video up too, with the same sort of instructions, because we were given these same sort of instructions, elevate yourself up, elevate up, and ah, la, 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 you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Right? The show of,
The show.
being online, and it feels like
Charisma.
really false, but also kind of enticing because that's what it's supposed to do. So anyway, I had one of my mentors watch my video and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, who are you? Like, this isn't you. Looks like you're, and I'm like, that's how I felt when I saw your video. So then I redid it and I was just like, this is what is, and it like pretty much showed up just like this, like, here's how it is. This is like,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm learning more and more, is to put on less and to try to like, because yeah, I mean, there is this world of it. It is very much like you get more views, you have the eyes and the right outfit and the right makeup and the right filter, and you're speaking the right words that are like drawing in sacred sisterhood circle with a hashtag divine feminine, like whatever's trending right now, and like be self spiritual. But like at the end of the day, it's like,
Mhm. I
because it's
agree.
so, you know,
I agree. Yeah. And I totally get it too when you were giving me that feedback, because that's not how I usually am. I'm not
right? Like
usually like that, you know? And I think I wound up doing a different video that was much more like it was
grounded.
more subdued, you know? And I'm like, okay, this is what it is. Like this is me, and you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I want people to just see me for who I am. And it's like
right.
the right trusting that the right people will resonate with that.
So in that moment, you were a mirror for me. It had nothing to do with you. You were a mirror of like exactly this. It was, and exactly that. Like, but we were rewarded for that sort of behavior. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God,
Right.
it's amazing. And and that is rampant sort of in the social media realm. So it's like, okay, and that's what I mean about this whole balance of like, okay, I could just like go offline and like go live in the mountains, go be by the ocean, and like, no. But there's this draw to like, okay, I want to be of service and I feel like I have value to give. As well as like there's a lot to receive here. How do I show up in a way that is authentic, has integrity, and you know, gets my needs met, gets other people's needs met, and isn't like graspy all like in the way, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. And I love like Myah does these. I mean, I'm gonna link in the description how you can follow Myah, but Myah does these little videos. They crack me up. They are so funny. Like you probably could be a stand-up comedian.
Oh, thank you.
Probably could. Like you're hilarious. I don't even know how to describe them. You have to see them for yourself. But she kind of like segments parts of her personalities, and each part has like a different outfit and sometimes a different voice. It's just hilarious. It is so funny. When did you start doing that?
Actually I did that last year. About this time last year I released the first one. It was because I like everything had shut down. There was nothing, like my job was gone for that time. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna make some video. Why not? And I loved it. I actually made 5 more scripts and I had filmed like each character for the parts of those scripts, but I was so disheartened when like the first video seemed to get a lot of really positive feedback, and then the other ones, which I thought like the last one I made, I think was the fourth video. I think I released 4, and I liked it the most. I thought it was so good, and it was like crickets. It was like, I don't know, 4 likes or something. Like it was like, I'm like, because it took so much time and effort and work to make those. So it's part of that. I'm like, why am I doing this? And then so when it popped up and I watched it again, this one, I was like, well, this is hilarious. And then I posted it and I was like, should I make more of these? And like, people are like, yeah, da da da. But I think what I will do and what I want to play with is do it more TikTok style. So it's shorter videos, less time and energy on my part, plus probably more the amount of time of the attention span of the modern audience, because a 6-minute video is a big
Right?
commitment. It's a
That's a
big commitment to watch a 6-minute
huge
video.
commitment. I mean, shoot, I don't even know who's going to be able to make it through this hour-long video. It's
I
like,
know.
ooh,
I have like, right, with the best of intentions, I'm like, I am going to listen to Leigh's podcast, but I just haven't like, right. So what I will do is I'll put it on in my car, and I just, because I'll listen to audiobooks or sometimes I'll listen to podcasts, and so I'll do that and I'll hear it
I do
and I'll
that
listen.
all the
So that,
time. All
yeah,
the time. I do
yeah,
that. And, I'm like, okay, if it's a 20-minute drive, I'm going to listen to 20 minutes of it and then I'll get back to it another time. You don't like, it doesn't have to be all at once, I think. But
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
I
Like,
love
rewriting,
like
but
podcasts, YouTube videos. They have helped me so much. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this, is because I've been so inspired and they've helped me so much. Like those times where everything's falling apart and you think your life is ending, and or when you're feeling so alone, maybe you're going through something that's super challenging, because Lord knows I've had a lot of those. And you can just like listen to other people talk about it, or just listening to people relating to each other and having conversations, and knowing that I'm not alone, knowing that I'm not crazy,
yeah.
that there's other people out there like me too. It's so confirming and validating, and it's just helped me immensely. So I have nothing but great things to say about it.
I love that. And that's such a beautiful reminder of like the good in technology, of just like human connection, like real, genuine human connection. And that, if we're not receiving it necessarily in our family life or in our friendship circles in person, that it is out there and there are like-minded humans going through very similar experiences. And there's a lot of gold right there. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's always people going through exactly what you're going through. I mean, I found that in pretty much every case. If I'm going through something, there's other people going through it too. I post about it and there's so many people, oh, I can relate to this so much. So yeah, so you're never alone. And the only way that we're going to know is by actually sharing, and by actually sharing our stories and being vulnerable, even though it's terrifying sometimes, because you're like, oh gosh, here I am, I'm going to be vulnerable, like people are going to know about my shit. When it's not really shit, but because everybody's got it. It's just some people can express about it, and then some people are like shut off and afraid, and I totally get that too, because somebody else might judge you, and nobody wants that. That's scary. So you just have to like keep on doing it. I'm just gonna keep on showing up even though I'm afraid. And yeah, there might be some haters out there, and that's okay. Just like let
Do you
it.
have any haters?
I don't think so. Not to my knowledge. Maybe there's a
You
secret
know,
hater out there.
quite honestly, I have like, because I went to film school in 2008 and I was like posting YouTube videos at the time and kind of getting into some stuff. And it was like the moment the haters would appear, I would start to disappear. And so that is a very like, so I mean, I'd like to think, now that I'm in my mid 30s, that like, you know, I'm over that. And yeah, it is though disheartening a little bit when somebody's like, "Rah, rah, rah," you know, but at this time it's like, you always know it's about them and they're projecting
Yeah.
onto you. And so you just
Uh-huh.
don't take it personally at this time. But like, yeah, when I was younger, that was like a big deal, you know? Yeah.
Well,
So,
the good news though is, and I've noticed this from, watching a lot of YouTube videos, just scrolling through the comments on all these videos, is there's a lot less of that these days. I feel
hmm,
like there's just a lot more support for people. And, if you don't have anything nice to say, maybe just like go somewhere else, because it's just not really, it's not necessary. But yeah, you're right, it is just a reflection of them. I kind of view it as like whatever hate they're trying to throw at me, that's just like an internal conversation they're having with themselves.
yeah. If it triggers me, then it's a mirror to something that I need to work on, which is fair enough. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. What work do I need to do here? And when I was younger, I'd get out there and I'd do my thing and I'd like get all excited. And I chose to be in a very abusive and controlling relationship. So I started doing that less and less and less. And then towards the end of the relationship, I started coming up more and more and more. And yeah, yeah, after my son was born, I left. And here we are. It's been a whirlwind. It's been a journey.
And yeah, as I've also been in abusive relationships. Um and oof, I feel like that could be an hour long conversation. But I
Right.
have I have heard people, like people who have not been in abusive relationships, tend to throw judgment towards those who have. I've experienced this a lot, and while not even knowing, like I haven't even shared with them that I have a past of that. And I'll hear them talking about someone else, like, oh, I can't believe like that she's with him and blah blah blah. And just like all this, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around that.
Yeah.
And having, I got my master's in social work, and our main project, at the end of the program, was we actually worked with women who have suffered from domestic violence. So these are like, extreme abusive relationships. And we interviewed all these women, and, we had to like change their voice and like black out their face. And we had to be like super careful about like the location we were going to and everything. And, and you probably, this too, from having your psychology background, that it's very complex. So it's not this like white, black matter. So, I feel like that's important to say. Like if you know anyone who has been in an abusive relationship or is currently, try to just have compassion for that person and just try to be kind. And you know if you can provide support for them and just like listening. I mean, I know it might be hard, but yeah, I would just say that, like, just try not to judge people for that, because it is a really complicated matter.
Yeah, I remember I didn't even know I was in one until I had a counselor. And I got a counselor because I was trying to get help for him for his addiction.
Mhm.
So it was like, and then she showed me like this diagram of the wheel of abuse. And she's like, what on here do you relate to? Everything except for physical violence. But there was still the threat of it. And I was like, because when you're in it, it's like that's just reality. That's just how it is.
Yeah,
So, you
yeah, yeah.
know, yeah. But even, but yeah, yeah.
I remember I went to, yeah, this was when I first started therapy. Like I went to my therapist, and I'm like, the reason I went to the therapist was to see like why I felt like I was losing touch with myself. Like I was losing myself. Like who I used to be, and who I was, like, was kind of like vanishing. And that was terrifying. I was like, what is happening? I'm sure people that can relate will, like, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But so I went to the therapist and I'm like, why am I in a relationship like this? Like, what the heck? Am I crazy? Like, why am I with a person like this? Why am I even allowing this? Like, what's wrong with me? So that's when I first got to therapy. And she helped me a lot in understanding my background and the dynamics of how I was raised and all of that. And it's different for everybody. But I got to a really good understanding of why I would even be in a relationship like that. And for me, it was because it was really familiar,
Mm.
because of a lot of the things that I was experiencing that were mental and emotional. They were very familiar to me. And I thought, in many ways, I thought that was just normal, like that's, what you were supposed to do and how people were supposed to treat each other.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
hmm Yeah. So, it's like I said, try not to have judgment. And I think just for people in general, just try to be kind to people.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I wore my shirt for you today. Read it.
All you need is love. I love it. I love it. And it's true. And it's true.
I was like, I'm gonna
And
put on the shirt
you
for
know,
her.
and something on that too. Because I think, like, after the relationship for me, I internalized a lot of the stuff, and I became very hard on myself. Like, I sort of internalized that voice, that constant, like, am I crazy? Is it, like, constantly self-criticism, harsh. And I think, for me, I grew up with parents that, like, were very supportive, like, over the moon supportive, and still are, and they helped me out immensely. So I'm super grateful for that. And I think for me, the more the wound was society and, like, Disney movies, like, how women are
Yeah.
perpetuated and how we're just supposed to, like, fall in love with someone, and then, that's supposed to just do everything for us, and this is complete loss of self in that. And then, yeah, the lack of self-love, and also that projection onto meaning in other people seeing our value, and then meeting somebody that, with their own trauma, knows exactly how to manipulate that with intermittent love and very manipulative patterns of behavior. So, Shasha,
Yeah.
self-love is like, I mean, but you have to learn that, because we learn how to not to love ourselves, and we're always trying to meet this standard or do this, or seek love somewhere else. And so it is this whole relearning of, like, self-love and love, universal love. And yeah, all you need is love, and that can take a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm still working on it right now.
Me too, always, lifelong. It's a
Yeah.
practice, right?
I,
It's a
I
practice.
knew I knew when I got out of my last relationship, I was like, okay, what is going on here? I knew, like, the common denominator was me. And I'm like, okay, like, I really need to work on myself. And so, like, that's why I've intentionally been single for the last couple of years, is because I wanted to take the time to work on myself and work on loving myself and being love, right? Because not that it's outside of me, um connecting with that, so that I can show up for someone else, in the way that I also want to be loved. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. So my advice for people who are going from one bad relationship to the next is just be by yourself for a little while. Like, it's actually not that bad, guys. It's kind of nice.
It's actually kind of awesome. I've also been single for a few years now. Yeah.
What's the most awesome thing about it for you?
Um, there's no, I guess, simplicity. Like, there's no real conversation to have with somebody about my decisions. I mean, I have my family, so that's fair. Like, I have my family and I have my son. Um, so I mean, there are some challenges, but there's no. So okay, I'll be transparent. I've tried to date every once in a while, and it just becomes too much. Like, too many things to focus on, because like, to devote time and energy to an actual, like, fulfilling, meaningful relationship, I mean, that is time and energy and effort. It is like, that's a lot. And I'm already, have my son, and I have my business, and I have my practice, and my life is so full already. So at this time, I would say, I might be in avoidance to it, if I'm being totally honest. I might be like, it's just not worth it. And I mean, and there's truth in, like, that's probably a wound that I need to heal, because I feel like I love myself. I love my family. I love life. But like, a friend of mine the other day was talking about this person that she's been seeing, and it's the same person as, like, a couple years ago when I last talked to her, and I was like, honestly, I'm pissed off for you, because this sounds like garbage. And then he was talking about it again, and I'm like, this is the same guy. She's like, yeah, it's complicated, it's da da da. I'm like, your compassion is like this when it comes to romantic relationships. Mine's like this. Like, I have no time for bullshit. And the dating scene and the idea of romance in our in our current culture is fucking toxic. And I just have no fucking time for it. I'm like, sorry, not worth it to me. So I am probably part of the problem. Like, okay, let's just, like, I can just, manifest and, like, do the deep breath work and, like, open myself and get ready to receive my twin flame. I don't believe in that bullshit either. I think that's a fucking waste of time too, but that might be the problem.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the word dating and also twin flame, I want to throw up when I hear
I
both.
know, right? Like, oh man. Oh man.
Oh man.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
dating sounds horrifying because I have dated in the past and I remember it was horrible. Like, I should have written a book on all of my horrible first dates. It would have been a bestseller. Oh my God. But yeah,
Agreed.
no dating. Like, I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, okay, you know what? If I meet someone somewhere out and about doing something, living my life, like, great. Or even electronically, like someone on Facebook or whatever, that's fine. But also, yeah, there is also that kind of avoidance with it too. It's like, oh, um for me to be, I think, ready to invest so much of my time and energy into that, they really have to be, like, on the same page as me in many ways. And
Right?
you
Yeah.
know yeah, and as you know, like, finding people or coming across people who are on the same wavelength, it's a smaller subset of the population right now. Right now,
Right?
hoping that's
Oh
good.
my God. I'm like, right? It's like, yeah.
I think there's a lot of robots out there. Like, I think, what is Dolores Cannon calls them, like, the backdrop people. But seriously, I think there's, like, some humans, like, walking around. I don't even know if they have a soul or, like, what is happening. Like, they're just, like, I don't know. Like, for example, I'm this many years old and this is what I do for my job, and I like this sport and I like this food. But what? That's it. That's all. I'm like, wait, that's it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the depth. Absolutely. It's right. So, right. So if you go out and you're like on the thing, if you do that, I don't know, every once in a while I'll get curious. I'm like, hey, what's out there? What's happening? Some
Curiosity killed the
bunch of
cat.
fish pics. But anyway, so they're either super basic and boring as fuck, because like, meh, or they're interesting. They seem to be deep, but they're just like, mm, they're just, it's like a different flavor of basic, but they're like, I don't know. How do I describe?
Yeah,
There's
play.
the spiritual men. Let's talk about the spiritual men. The spiritual men are like not grounded and usually don't do root work. So they're very like airy, you know what I mean? And they're not like embodied, like they're not, the sex isn't good. They're not connected to their primal
Just
being.
comes
They're
right out.
all up in the air and all guru. I don't
Um,
know, whatever. I don't know where I'm going with that. But you know what I'm saying? Like they're disconnected from their root chakra and their sacral and their solar plex, possibly.
I've come across many people, many of those airy people is what I call them, and they're totally just like up in the clouds all the time.
Yeah.
Like, yo, like you can't live up there. You need to come
So
back
they're
down
deep in
here.
what they talk about, but they're not like physically here. You know what I mean? They're not
Mhm.
like, so that's why you know, I like, I haven't in a while, but like basic men tend to be better at things because they're more in the physical. They're more in their body. I don't, does that make sense to you?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
the cavemen.
Oh my gosh.
They're so primal, they're so physical, but
Right.
you can't have a conversation with them. Or it's on the other end
Right.
of the spectrum where all you can have is conversation and maybe heart open
Mhm.
feelings, but that's no fun.
Right. Well, I think there are more whole, complete, embodied people out there, and there are people, stepping up their game every day. You know,
Okay, thank you for that.
definitely, I'm
I
definitely
appreciate that.
seeing the community increase, and it takes a while. You're not just like, you wake up one day and you're embodied. It doesn't work like that. So, but I'm seeing it. I think it's just, happening a little bit more slowly than I would like it to.
Yeah, especially with the men. My God.
Well, they have a lot of catching up to do,
Thank
honestly, because I feel
you.
like women have been doing this work for a really long time. And I'm talking about, like, I'm not talking about myself because
Like hundreds of years.
yes, yes, the women have been really like holding it down, just like patiently waiting, and now the men are, they're starting to like catch up a little bit. So, but yeah, I'm like, man, I am so ready. Let's just burn it all down to the ground and start over.
Start over. Let's
I'll
start
light the
over.
match. Seriously. Anyway, oh my goodness. It's been such a joy to have you on. You're such a bright light, and I just love your energy so much. Oh, you make
Thank
me
you.
laugh. I love that.
Thank you, Leigh.
Um, so for people who are seeing you for the first time, and I'll put your links in the description, what's the best way? What's your preferred way for people to get in touch with you?
Uh, Probably in the DMs on Faceagram. Faceagram.
Faceagram. That one.
Faceagram. Yeah, I do have my website, mymovement.guru. It's a little outdated, but it suffices. Um, and yeah, on Instagram, I am Myah dot dreaming dot hawk dot woman. And I mean, you'll type up this stuff anyway. But yeah, so right now, I am co-facilitating with Megan Allen of Infinite Medicine, and we are doing a sort of a deep dive in December. We're going to go live every day in our group and just give to our Wild Woman Flow group. And then coming in January, we have our first 4-month journey course that we're preparing for. We're really excited about it.
Exciting.
So we're calling in amazing women that are like ready to dive deep and be in their flow and attune with nature and using the power of sacred ritual, as well as Kundalini Yoga. So it's a mishmash of all the wonderful things we love, from shamanism to Kundalini Yoga to neurolinguistic
Yes.
programming, one-on-one
Yes.
work as well as group work. So that's coming up. But yeah, so we're doing some activation calls for that if people are feeling aligned with that. That is what we are up to. And yeah, I think that's about it
Yeah,
for
you
right
guys,
now.
Megan was part of our mastermind group too. So, and she's also amazing. So yeah, I mean, if you guys are feeling like you're resonating with this, like even a tiny bit, like just, check it out because they're amazing people.
Aw,
So,
thank
and
you,
I'm
Leigh.
so excited for you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. And I hope that if you're watching that you've enjoyed this conversation.